Hello, this is Miss Allison from the Southeast Branch Library here with another digital escape room. If you played our first one, you already know how this works, but if you're new to escape rooms, you are going to be given a story to walk through, and as you do, you're going to solve puzzles and problems to escape whatever the situation is. So, ours is Alice in Wonderland themed. Let's get started. This is our setup for it, so we're going to keep going to our first problem because this is not a playthrough of it, this is your answer key. So stop, go play the storyline, and if you get stuck on any of the problems in the escape room, you can come back here to learn the answers. So our first problem here is figuring out which tunnel the White Rabbit went through. So we have three options here, and we need to figure out which one belongs to a rabbit. So rabbits have four paws, and they run in a pattern where they put one paw down and then the second paw and then use both their back feet at once, which creates their little jumping hop. So that would leave us with tunnel one. The other options here are a boar. You can see there's a cloven hoof here, and a fox. So we're going to keep going. We are at the next puzzle. If you've watched either of the Alice in Wonderland movies, or if you've read the original books, you know about the bottle and the cake. So there is a tag on it. Our tag here is encoded. This is an alphanumeric cipher. So what that means is that each of these numbers corresponds to a letter of the alphabet. So ours is going to be pretty simple. This is a straightforward one. So 4, we're going to go A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4. So our first letter would be D. If we follow through like that, we get the answer, drink me. All right, now we're moving to the cake. The cake has a different cipher. So this is going to be a Caesar cipher, which means that it is a shift cipher. So we're going to take a look at our letters here. The Caesar cipher got its name because Julius Caesar always used a 4-letter shift cipher when encoding messages. How that works is we're going to take our letter D, and by shifting that a certain number of places, we'll get to our message. So for this Caesar cipher, it's D becomes an E, Z cycles back through the alphabet to become an A, S becomes T. Our answer is eat me. All right, so this is our hardest puzzle we've got. So I did the math on this one. It does work out properly if you want to go through the trouble. There's 2 ways to solve this. The first is that starting at 1.5 times your original height, you can go through the multiplication of multiplying by 3 every time you take a sip of the drink, and then dividing in half every time you take a crumb of the cake. Or the simpler way to do it is if you know the cake makes you shrink, you want to choose the one that has the most cakes. In that case, it's this. For anyone curious, the math works out so that you would be 14% your original size to fit through a 1/6 your original height door. All right, we're going to keep going. We get to everyone's favorite, the caterpillar, with riddles. So, from on a shelf to in a hand, travel to a distant land, returning home, just close your eyes. To come back, open them wide. So that's a pretty straightforward riddle. Just got book. And we find the creepy Cheshire cat. So why is a raven like a writing desk? This one is more difficult just because it's so ridiculous. So this is a very hard riddle. You've got the hint here. If you get stuck, just take a guess. So they both have claws. And you see that it's actually a fake riddle. Any answer you put in will be correct because, famously with this riddle, the Mad Hatter himself does not know the answer. He asks Alice a riddle with no answer, and she gets very angry at him in the original novel for this. Your character also does not seem very pleased. Now we move on to what color should the playing card gardeners paint the roses to please the Queen of Hearts? Now this is asking you to think about playing cards. So green is not a color on the playing cards. You can discount that. We want to match the Queen of Hearts to make her happy. So the black colored playing cards are the spades and clubs, not the hearts. Red is hearts and diamonds. So, thinking about it logically, the Queen of Hearts would like to see her color on her roses. All right, she's happy with that. So for this one, we're going to look. The goal is to get as many points as possible without going to 100, just like if you were playing blackjack and trying not to get over 21. So I'm going to pull up our calculator, and I'm going to work backwards on this because that's how my brain works. So 8 times 3, 24. All right, keep that number in your head. 9 times 4 plus 24 plus 40 for the 4 tens. There you go, 100. So the queen's actual score is 100, and she is cheating. But it's not generally a good idea to tell the maniacal queen that she actually lost the game, so she's angry at you. And our last puzzle here is telling time. I'm going to go through how to read a clock for those of you that don't know. So these are Roman numerals for 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So what we're going to do is, so at the bottom here is number 6, and our shorter hour hand is still between the 6 and 7. So that means that 6 is our first number, and 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So we're behind 30, so that would be 29, 28. So 628 is our answer. And we've solved the puzzle. Thank you so much for playing with us. If you would please fill out the answers here. This is how we keep track of how many people played, and it gives us feedback on how to make more of these. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for playing with us. You've done a wonderful job. Enjoy, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.